So, hello and welcome to Beyond the Hub, where we talk about everything from sales to marketing to your business as a whole. And today we're going big. So, you may or may not have seen that HubSpot has released a brand new hub, Content Hub. And who better to explain what it is, why it's happening, what to expect than VP of Marketing Products at HubSpot, Nicholas Holland. It's great to have you here with us. Thanks for joining us again, because this is your second time on the podcast.
Right. Thank you so much for having me. I appreciate it. Excited to talk about this.
So let's just dive straight in because I'm sure everyone's interested to know what the hub actually is. So I think at first glance, some people might think it's just a bit of CMS hub and it's just a bit of marketing hub. And can you tell us why that's not true and what Content Hub actually is?
Definitely. So, Content Hub is an evolution or a reimagining of CMS Hub. In the early days, HubSpot was a big leader of content marketing and they called it Inbound. And a big part of what we did was that we combined top of the funnel content creation tools with marketing automation. And that was a unique offering for HubSpot, but more importantly, it was really great for marketers because they had this all-in-one platform that allowed them to blog, put a call to action, tie it to a landing page with a form, collect the email, and then of course move on and doing that. So what we've now decided after many years is that blog and landing pages, they need to evolve. And so what we did was, CMS Hub was about where you made a website, but it was all built on this really powerful content platform. And so we began to look at all these trends that were happening. Content marketing had evolved. It had moved into multiple types of modes. We call it multimodal. It had now moved into video. It had now moved into audio. And then more importantly, AI was like a massive part of all of this right now. And so with
Mhm.
AI in particular, what happened was generative AI had come out and people were starting to generate short form, long form, different mediums. And so the combination of all of these together led to a very key epiphany for us. One, as one of the inventors of content marketing, we thought to ourselves, who other than us, should really reemerge as like showing the way for what the next generation looks like. Two, we already had a powerful content platform. CMS Hub, for example, hosts many gigantic sites with tens of
Mhm.
millions of visitors a month and all that stuff. We have over a billion pages on the CMS. It's a lot. So we put all that together and we came out with Content Hub. And a couple of things that are interesting is that now it's not about basically putting your website on it because Content Hub works with any CMS that you have.
Mhm.
Two, it's very much full of all sorts of AI stuff, which we can jump into. Three, it really covers a lot of different multi-mode content types now. So it still has your blog and landing pages, which you would expect, but now it also has podcasting. Now it also has rich video functionality. It allows you to, we're working on other content types that we don't want to talk about right now, but like it's like all sorts of different things, and it's a central spot to store all of your files for your front office. So it's almost like a digital asset management system for many companies because when you have all of your front office files in one spot, you can also do that as well. And that's in addition to the CMS that if you want to build a website, a microsite, a portal, all of that's available as well. And so it's the key two use cases that if you need to create and manage content, Content Hub is your solution.
As we're doing a podcast, I'm obviously very excited about the podcast one, but I really don't think we can do one of these talks without talking about AI. I know you've already mentioned it already, but obviously the new Content Hub is embedded with the AI more so than any other hub has been. What advice do you have for people that are still a bit nervous about it?
Yeah, so we started going down this path about a year and a half ago, and we were we were caught between two kind of bookends. The first is, do we want to put out a bunch of things that are experimental that our customers won't gain value out of? Not really.
Hmm.
So what we tried to do is we took some things like the generative AI, specifically in the area of text, and we put that all throughout our tools. And our customers love that. I'll give you an example. In our Marketing Hub tool, being able to generate an email subject line for an email you've created and have it already be tuned for clicks and opens is like incredibly valuable for a lot of
Hmm.
customers. And that's simple. That's literally a single click that is aware of what you do as a company. It's aware of your conversion goals. It's aware of the email that you wrote, and it does that. So that's an example of where we're trying to take something that seems to be kind of, mysterious and what am I supposed to do with this? And we've made a single little lightning bolt button where you click it and it auto generates something. And we've done all the work on the back end to tune it and shape the data and feed it all that stuff. So that's an example. With Content Hub in particular, we started with that same process. So when you create any content, you can effectively do all the things that you would expect to do with Chat GPT, rewrite this, change the tone, et cetera. That's all relatively basic stuff. But we've moved beyond that now to the point where, like, when you create a blog post, for example, it now can generate images that now make that blog post look nice.
Yes.
So, like, for example, that now takes some work off of you because now you needed, you wrote it and then you were like, oh, I want to put some visuals in here to make it look nice. That's something that's not super mystifying. It's not scary. What that does
Hmm.
is that helps you as a marketer be more efficient. The next thing that we have in Content Hub is like brand voice. You might have multiple people writing. Maybe you solicited an agency. Heck, maybe you grab something from your boss, or maybe you're just feeling off that day. When you write content, you don't want all of your content to sound different and have different voices and different tones. You want to be able to craft that. So every piece of content that you create with Content Hub now goes through something called brand voice, and that then makes sure that it's always on brand. And then I could keep going. Like, we've got a whole new translation engine that's not like Google Translate. So if you work in markets where you have multiple languages that are being spoken, taking a single piece of content and having really good translation, not Google Translate. I'm talking about like really good AI level translation. That's nice because you can now take a piece of content and have it ready to go for 4, 5, 6, 7 different markets. And that's very valuable. So, it's hard to describe right now to those, but like, if you create content, everybody needs ideas. We have
Hmm.
stuff to help you with that. Everybody needs to draft. We have tools that collaborate with you. Everybody effectively needs to consider, brand voice or being on brand. And then in certain customers, they need to basically look at translation. We make all of that easy right out of the box.
I love it. And I love what you've said there about sometimes you do just have an off day and you need that little bit of spark, and that's what this is going to do. But like you said, we probably could be here all day talking about every single feature that the new Content Hub has. But which are you most excited about personally?
I think the swing state, I think podcast is showing better than what we thought. And what I mean by that is, like, we're pretty late to the game. Podcasting is a very mature area.
Mhm.
And I thought to myself, well, if I'm a marketer and I'm looking for an all-in-one content platform and I want it to be aware of my goals, my brand voice, all that stuff, I think I would want podcasting here. But in my mind, I thought to myself, well, a lot of customers are probably going to be like, well, that's neat, but I already have podcasting elsewhere. And it's been overwhelming how many people said, oh my God, I've been looking for a place to like bring my podcasting into all my marketing. I've been looking for a place where I can basically now be the owner of my podcast and syndicate elsewhere. I can have my podcast sitting in my web properties. I don't have to pay for another tool. So
Mhm.
that's been really good. I think the other one that's like it's super experimental, but we're super excited, is a tool called Remix. The original vision, this won't be out when we launch first, but it'll hopefully be here by the end of this year. The original vision was, we were talking to a customer and they said, I want to take a master format, like a video, and I would love for something to chop that up into YouTube and
Yes.
TikTok shorts. I would
Hmm.
love for something to pull the audio file out and turn that into a podcast. I would love for something to pull the transcript out and generate social posts, generate ads, and generate basically suggested blog posts. And I was like, wow, that's amazing. And they were like, because I only have a handful of really, really good ideas. Like, I put a lot of work into deep quality content, and then
Yeah,
I want to remix it. And so we're putting out something called Remix. And so what that allows you to do is start with a piece of content, set some parameters, and then it can generate images, ads, social posts, blog posts, audio files. It can do all of that. And so, we've got to keep working on the quality of the content.
of course.
Some of it's a little wonky. So, like anybody dealing with AI, my joke is that it'll probably kill us in 30 years, but right now it's pretty dumb. But I think
It needs a bit of editing at the moment.
yeah, I
Yeah.
think Remix though is going to save a bunch of time. I think it's going to save people a bunch of time.
That's really exciting because I think you said it in our last chat actually about how some people just aren't, we're all not that interesting, but we have those good ideas and
That's
we
right.
don't need to be spending time doing like the manual side of it. Like those ideas are what makes us all special.
Absolutely.
And that's
That's
what this
right.
is
And
going to do.
unique data. So, like, what we're trying to work with, like, we have an AI blog post generator. What we're doing is we let you talk about some things you want to write about, and then we actually mix it with third party search data. So then we take your idea, plus what people are searching for. And then we give you a list of blog post ideas. So for the first time, now you take your unique idea, plus you see what people are looking for. And then we take it into draft mode and you can work back and forth. You write some yourself. Like we're not just doing set and forget and then you publish. And so, boom, think about it. You just got help with ideation. You just got
Mm-hmm.
help with drafting, but it's also in your brand voice. It's got some images in it, but you also don't have to worry about it being drivel or bad content because you were the hero in that story. And that's what I want to start telling marketers is that everyone's worried. They're like, oh my God, it's going to be like a bunch of drivel content all the time. Like, that's a solved problem. If you put out boring, bad content, no one will click your emails. No one will read your content.
Mm-hmm.
Google won't show you. That is a solved problem. So now focus on being creative.
Yeah.
Focus on those ideas. Focus on depth and quality and let AI be a collaborator with it. I think it's pretty awesome.
And I think you've kind of answered this question already because you talk to HubSpot partners, you talk to HubSpot customers, you talk to leaders in all the different fields. So you kind of know what makes everyone tick, and you've kind of answered a few of those challenges there. But I think a team that we're increasingly seeing as a HubSpot agency taking quite a big pivotal role in CRM implementation and that kind of thing is IT. So in what way can people bring Content Hub and appeal it to those kind of teams?
So a lot of IT teams, um, what they get a bad rap, but what they're ultimately responsible for is it safe? Is it secure?
Hmm.
They're ultimately responsible for, will I have to support it? That's the toughest part on IT. Will it be a nightmare for customizations, extensibility, legal risk, liabilities? So I think what I would say to a lot of people is that if you're bringing HubSpot to an org for the first time, you have to work with your IT department no matter what, and they'll have security requirements. HubSpot does
Hmm.
really good. They'll have legal requirements. HubSpot does really good with our terms of service. We don't share your information. We're good corporate partners. So I think when that decision is made, Content Hub, what's nice about it being part of the platform, it just falls up under that. I think the second thing that IT is having to wrestle with is AI. Honestly,
Yeah.
they're wrestling with do I want to give it to my org or not? That's a personal preference. I think you should. Um, but that's a personal preference depending on kind of what your requirements are. And we do have the ability in Content Hub and in Marketing Hub and in HubSpot in general to turn off AI. I think the last part that customers are looking at though is there are some that are like, I'm really good with AI, but I want to start training it on unique data sets, my particular unique data
Hmm.
set, and I want trust that that does not go back to any of the large language models. It doesn't go back to OpenAI. It doesn't go back to all that stuff. And that's we're not at the point yet where we're providing those custom models, but that's an area where when that's needed, we'll make sure we work with ID departments on that as well. You just have to be extremely large and have some massive data sets before you're ready to do that. So that's why we're not super into that yet.
It's a little bit niche, but in that same kind of thought process, then where do you see AI in HubSpot evolving without giving away any of your secrets that you might have coming up?
I think there's like three areas that we're really interested in. I think the first is how do we make our customers more efficient and more effective? So think about it like a marketer who logs in and it's Monday morning and they've got the weight of the business on their shoulders. How do we make them the hero? And that's like the first kind of area where we want AI to really make that person more effective
Mm.
and more efficient. The second area that we're exploring, and I don't know, it's pretty nascent, but like we're also wondering, like, man, budgets are tight, the work keeps increasing, the complexity for marketers in particular keeps increasing. And so, what would it look like if you could hire HubSpot, like an AI helper, to basically help you do certain parts of your marketing stuff? And so, these are all kind of like wild ideas, but like, what would it look like if you could hire somebody to help you with your social media, hire a video, like a video editor, hire a content writer? Like, what would that look like? And right now, that's wild for a lot of people. They're like,
Hmm.
what? It can't do that. But man, it's changing so fast that I think there is a world where it can. And so now you're a staff of three trying to carry the whole business on your shoulders, and you don't have another 60, 70, $80,000 budget to go hire a new person. what would it look like if basically HubSpot brought resources to the table for you to basically hire an AI helper, but it's also leveraging your current stuff. So that's pretty interesting.
Mm.
And then I think the last one is that the role of the marketer is really fascinating in a world of SDRs and BDRs. This gets wild really quickly, but like if AI is like an agent model, so like
Mhm.
it's on your website and you can chat with it. You've heard and seen those types of things. Like imagine like a chat GPT type interface for your website. If that's the case, what if somebody wanted to talk to somebody? Now, this gets wild quickly. But we've already seen proofs of concepts out there where you can
Seen it.
talk with the AI in
Yeah.
a nice voice that sounds very humane and it's knowledgeable. You say, "What are your hours? What's your location? Hey, I want to, I need help with my warranty, all that stuff." And it's able to basically answer because you fed it all the data. Where
Hmm.
it gets even crazier, and this is wilder long term, but like what happens if you wanted to video chat with somebody? Like you want to face to face, like you've seen tools like Hey Gen is one of the
Yeah.
avatar tools, or
Yeah.
Tavis is another one. Like, what does it look like in a BDR and SDR model where I follow up a call, like I finish talking with you, and then I follow up and it's a video of me saying, "Hey, I really enjoyed talking today. You had 3 questions. Here's, I've attached A, here's B, here's C. It's so great to meet you. Would love to keep working together, etc." One, I don't have to be unauthentic and say, like, I don't have to trick you. I can let it know that it's a digital avatar of me. Two, it's my likeness. So it's not, some, replica that you don't know. It's
Yeah. It's
Nicholas. It's literally
technically your
Nicholas.
property.
Yeah, it's Nicholas. It's my property. I've given it permission.
Yeah.
I've told it what to say. I've given it my likeness and my voice. And so now what does that allow me to do? That allows me to, at the end of our phone call, send you a summary of me talking with next steps, and you can consume it, or if, whether you want to or not. But that's a model where now it's saved me some time as a BDR and SDR. And I also, it has a degree of authenticity, but on the flip side, it's allowed me to scale. And so that's an area where I don't know how that's going to work out between sales and marketing. But my
Hmm.
gut says a lot of these virtual avatars will find their place into our kind of daily lives we got to make sure it's above board so it doesn't really weird people out. But I think when that happens, marketing will have a bigger role to play probably in that BDR and SDR type stuff.
That's really interesting as well because you've mentioned it already, but the speed at which AI is going, like this could be a thing by the end of the year. Like this is
Oh,
really
for
like
sure.
it's there and ready.
For sure.
And going back to what you mentioned before about making marketers more efficient, I think what's really interesting is that marketers are expected, I think, to have quite a lot of different skills. You're
Totally.
expected to whip up a Adobe image ready for your website, and not all of us are that great at that. That's not
Totally.
what we're great at. So I'm really excited for the
Hey,
I think I
Bridget,
need a
can
whole
you,
week off to play with
yeah,
it.
they're like, Bridget, can you do me a campaign? And I'd like a podcast, and I'd like ads, and I'd like a couple of thought leadership pieces. And while you're at it, can you make me a promo
Yeah.
video? Appreciate it. And sales enablement. Thanks.
Yeah, write me a few sequences whilst you're there.
Yeah.
I'm like,
Thank,
okay.
appreciate it.
By the
Yeah.
end of the
Yeah.
day? Sure,
Hope.
now I can.
And that's the crazy stuff that people get asked for, though. It's wild.
Exactly. And we haven't touched on, I think the fact that everyone is wanting ROI and to prove ROI. So when you're buying new software and purchasing Content Hub, for people that have already got HubSpot, what would you say to try and help them build up a business case internally to get that signed off?
I think the data, this is not Nicholas talking, this is not even HubSpot. I think there's ample data out there that shows that content marketing still has the best kind of
Mhm.
CAC to LTV. CAC stands for cost to acquire a customer. LTV stands for lifetime value. That's a fancy way of saying nothing beats content marketing when it comes to ROI for marketers. Nothing. Why do a lot of companies not do it? Well, the first is like you're a founder, you got to think that the very first person that you hire, you don't have
Mhm.
any sort of system set up to let people kind of self-purchase. So you got to hire a salesperson. So then these founders get in this mode where they're like salesperson, 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 and they turn around twice. And it is a very inefficient model to basically do cold calling and cold email. Very
Yeah.
inefficient, very, very high CAC, and a very low LTV a lot of times. So that's eventually, as a company matures, they get a marketer, and early on, they want them to do so many things. So,
Like we just
right,
mentioned.
like I just mentioned. And so what's crazy is like the first thing I would say is like a content hub and a marketing hub. Those deliver high ROI when you're just an army of one.
Hmm.
Just think about it. What I'm saying now for the first time is that one person can run an entire marketing department. They can do your email, your automation, they can do your social media, your ads, your content marketing. They can do all of that. That's what HubSpot makes possible. I think where it gets even more interesting though is if you move to a marketing team of 3, 6, 9.
Hmm.
Now what happens is you start to got some specialists in there, and that's where now the AI itself is basically giving you more leverage on the people that you have. It's letting them do more than what they could before. And then when you tie it back to our customer platform where the left hand knows what the right hand's doing, you get a lot of synergies there. There was a study where they showed like a bell curve,
Hmm.
and on the bookends, on the sides of the bell curve, uh, is really where there's context switching. And they showed how many marketers, salespeople, et cetera, are context switching between tools every day, jumping from tool A to tool B to tool C. And all of that eats away at their time. So again, having all of, I can just speak for Content Hub and Marketing Hub right now,
Hmm.
having all of that in one place on top of a CRM, it just absolutely unlocks a lot of kind of time and energy for the marketer. So when you're looking at, I think Content Hub is going to be like $500. I think Marketing Hub's like $900. I think you'll be able to buy them both. There's like this, we're going to call it Marketing Plus. I think
Hmm.
you can buy them both for something like $1,100, $1,200, something like that. Like when you're thinking about that, wow, you know, 12,000 bucks a year. That's if you get the pro, 12,000 bucks a year roughly for something that basically lets you run an entire department and unlocks a bunch of creativity and functionality for the people there. Like it's a pretty good deal.
And if you had that split across like 5 or 6 different tools, you'd
Dude,
be paying
sick.
like 3, 4, 5 times that.
Plus all the context switching. Like,
Yeah.
we had somebody the other day talk about they lost an employee, and that employee took with them the knowledge and the login and the password for everything.
Oh.
And so they said it took them, but basically like a whole day to get that
Hmm.
particular system up and running, and it caused problems and they looked bad. And so, you know, basically they got burned because they were basically using a bunch of different cobbled tools, and they had a
Hmm.
team that basically were all kind of siloed specialists, and it's tough. It's a big risk for the business.
It sounds and it sounds like the Content Hub is just going to be able to make people a bit more flexible. It's going
Well,
to,
I think it's basically, if I were to say anything, it's you're either doing content or you're not. That's like a decision for every business. And if you're doing content, there are no there's at least there's nothing that comes to mind very clearly for most people when I say what's your content marketing platform. They're like, oh, it's WordPress, and you're like, that's not a content marketing platform. That's like an open source CMS. And they're like, well, I use this landing page tool, and I use this blogging tool, and I use this for my CMS, and I use this for my community management, and I use this for my podcast, and I use this for my video. And it's all very scattered. There's no way to report on ROI. There's none of that. So
and I just get worried about where are you keeping all those passwords because how can you remember all the logins, like you said? That gives me anxiety.
exactly.
I think that's all of my questions actually. Was there anything else that you think after we've talked all about Content Hub that you'd like to share, or have we covered it?
No, ma'am. Just excited. And if anybody wants to give me feedback, it's in Holland at HubSpot.com.
Amazing. Well, I'm going to take a whole week off and go and play around with all the new tools, and I'll let you know how it is.
Awesome. Thanks so much. Appreciate you.
Amazing. Thanks so much.